Come look right here. It's like the dress, that not, what do you call that?
It's like
credenza?
half a foot on either side.
Like Austin's in it right now.
We're live. We'll get going.
We're live.
We're live. Okay. Let's get going. We've got a lot of guys streaming in from Pocatello and Rexford and Logan. You can't see anybody, right?
I just see you.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear me.
All right.
Good. How are the roads?
Clear.
Okay.
Great.
Idaho had a bad storm come through, so we're streaming in. I'm really distracted.
No, never look at
No, don't do that.
Look at us.
Okay, so we're distracted by this. I can't believe it. This is our last real manager meeting before the summer starts. We've got a half manager meeting the morning of Super Saturday, and that's it. So that's what, about 6 weeks away from Super Saturday. Rexford gets out of school on the 13th of April. Super Saturday hits on the 14th of April, and guys are driving the area. So we are literally 6 weeks away. Literally. I love when people use the word literally. I literally almost got it. Literally, we will be knocking doors in 6 weeks. So this meeting, we've got a lot of housekeeping items we've got to go over, a lot of planning, a lot of checklists. It's not going to be the funnest meeting you've ever been to, but it's going to be very important that you guys really take note of what we still need to do between now and the start of the summer. So here's kind of what the agenda looks like today. Shannon has a bunch of items to go over as far as sales coordinators and just some regular protocol. We're going to do a panel today. We've never done this before. I can't take credit for it. It was Jason's idea. To do a panel of experts, veteran managers that have literally led hundreds of reps over their pest control career, and you've got the ability to ask them questions. Nothing's off the table. We posted a link to the Facebook page of questions that you guys can ask. If you haven't put down a question, go to the manager Facebook page real quick and type up a well thought out question that you'd like to ask the panel. But we're going to have 5 of our main guys, partners up here that will just give you good knowledge. So think of some things that you feel like you can do better and learn from the best. So after the panel, I'm just going to go through a whole checklist of things that we need to make sure we're prepared for before the summer starts. And then during lunch, we're going to do a 1-hour lunch break. But during that lunch break, we want you to do a breakout with your team. So your co-manager, if it's just you here, whatever, we're going to have a whole slew of items that you need to go through. Things from who your car group drivers are going to be, how you're going to handle gas receipts over the summer, how you're handling incentive money, utilities, all of these things that we need to have ready to roll before the summer starts. When we try to accomplish these things on day 1 of the summer, it just feels uneasy to the reps. It's just chaotic. It's not a good work environment. We want it to be turnkey. We want these reps to step into the office day 1 and be ready to rock and roll. We don't want any mess in between. We don't want them sitting there while you're scrambling trying to get set up and get things ready to go with car group drivers, where guys are going to be knocking, shirts, hats. Make it as smooth as possible, and that's what we're trying to achieve this year, okay? We'll go through that. After lunch, we're going to have 2 of our best, Andrew Osler and David Burt, talk about how to sell quality accounts, okay? These guys combined for 1,800 service accounts this summer. Between the 2 of them, they had some of the lowest chargebacks in the company. They sold literally 10 times what a lot of people do, and yet they had way less chargebacks. So what are they doing different? How can we teach our reps to sell quality accounts? How can we improve the quality of sales with the lower chargebacks? And then Josh, who's the best at APay I've ever seen, is going to do a training on how to teach your reps to sell APay, how to get APay. Josh has been at like 99%, 100%, 5 years in a row. Josh probably has a whole trophy full of APay winner trophies. So got some great stuff, and then I'm going to wrap up just with a short leadership training on things that you need to start thinking about now that you can start implementing on day 1 of the summer. So here is the calendar, just of some items that we've got coming up. Sorry. Super Saturday is going to be April 14th, write that down. We'll do the manager meeting the morning of at 10 a.m. to 12, and then the regular meeting is going to be from 1 to 5, okay? Write that down, we'll post it. And then we have a sales coordinator training on March 30th, 31st, Saturday, yes. And that's for Insight and Terminex coordinators. We're going to hold it here. We're going to break it up. So Insight will go from 10 to 1, and then Terminex 11 to 2.
We might want to have everyone jump off the Wi-Fi because it's kind of bogging us down.
Okay, if you're on the Wi-Fi, we need to get off it, the Vantage Wi-Fi. Please. Okay, got some news for Super Saturday. You can thank Kelton and Josh for this one. They reached out to this guy, and this will be your guest speaker at Super Saturday. Anyone heard of the Iron Cowboy? Okay, this guy did 50 triathlons in 50 days in 50 different states. He spoke at the Door-to-Door Con and was probably the best motivational speaker I've ever heard in my life. And I've heard a lot of motivational speakers. I mean, this guy had us all just juiced up. Somehow Kelton got this guy's cell phone number. He's been texting him. And anyway, we got it done. He will be our guest speaker at Super Saturday. We're super pumped for this. This is, if we all crap the bed and do a terrible job, it is worth everyone's time for Super Saturday just to go hear this guy speak. So here's a short trailer of what he's all about.
I hadn't found my physical and mental limits. It just came into my head. 50, 50, 50. 50 islands, 50 states, in just 50 days.
He's the Iron Cowboy, and he's very tired when you were buying from there. They say he once wore a cowboy hat in the crowd of athletes, and the name stuck.
It seemed pretty much impossible. Comical, yeah, terrifying. He said he would coach me, and I said, I don't think I can do it.
This guy thinks he has a chance. It's crazy.
The first few days were really chaotic. They even put up new shoes, so everybody's wearing like these smaller shoes. Hey, I'll wear the hat. Last 48 hours, 200 rounds, and 5 hours of sleep.
Now, my great daddy is like, Saturday with this guy.
James said he can't feel his legs. He'd sit down, he was asleep. It was so crazy to watch. 1, 2, snoring. You do 1, 2, 3 snoring on the bike, you crash. And all of a sudden he's like, I can't do this. I stopped chasing society's dream. And I went after my dreams. This is what we as human beings can actually do. Whatever trials you're having, it's hard. There's a finish line to all of this. You just gotta get through today. It's awesome. Fight. We'll be there, everybody waiting for you.
Sweet. I'm freaking pumped for that. So appreciate Kelly and Josh making that happen for us. Want to announce the manager of the month. Who's Hayden? Come on up. Everyone know Hayden? He's quiet. He's the guy that's quietly in the shadows doing everything that he should be doing. Hayden never misses any trainings, any events, any company activities. He's always doing what he's supposed to do, but never looks for recognition. This is a true leader right here. Someone who doesn't look for praise, but does everything he's supposed to do, and just humbly goes about it. So give it up for Hayden. Before I turn things over to Shannon, I just wanted to sincerely thank you guys. I feel like we get get so busy and bogged down and so stressed out sometimes, we forget about the people that make us great, and it's you guys. I'm not ignorant enough to know that, not know that you're not out there in the trenches, taking calls all hours of the night, early morning calls. You're out there fighting the competition. I know there's literally dozens and dozens and dozens of other options out there, and yet you have chosen to be here. And I don't take that lightly. I lose sleep over that. I truly, truly lose sleep over making sure that Vantage is the best summer platform for you guys and your reps. We are definitely not perfect, but you work with guys who will always admit when they make mistakes, and will fight vigorously to make them right. But you guys are what makes Vantage right. And truly, truly, I'm so grateful for you guys who always keep your trust in us, pass up higher offers, because you see a bigger picture, you see more than just a paycheck, that you can really build something here, that you can create a future here, and that ultimately I do believe that this is the best place for you and your reps to be, but it's all a group family effort. So love you guys, appreciate you guys. I am so stoked for a huge summer. We're going to have our best summer yet. I don't care as much about how many accounts we sell this summer. We killed it last year. I believe we're going to do more. I'm more focused on retention, on averages, on low chargebacks, on being organized, and just delivering an awesome experience to our reps. And the things that we're going to go over later today will hopefully help us accomplish those. So let's give it up to Shannon. She's got some important stuff to go over.
Hey guys, so as most of you should know, Josh posted this on the Facebook page just the other day. We have a new format for username and passwords. This is going to be across the board. If you already have a username and a password, it's going to change to this.
Write this down, because if anyone texts me asking me what the format is, I'm going to freak out.
Yeah,
so it's right here.
Get your phones out, let's take pictures. Take a picture, write it down.
So give 5 examples of what your username and password would be based off this format.
So I'm going to call on 5. David, what would you say?
Okay, so it'd be 18 D.TURNER, and then my password would be Turner, and the last four digits my social security. Capital T, Turner, last four digits of my social security.
It would be 18 J dot last name BANNAR.
Go.
And my password would be BANN. The last word.
Ron, you didn't capitalize that.
Yeah, bro.
Gosh darn it.
Call spade a spade, boys. Do it.
Okay, Josh.
Okay. 18J dot burn. No. 18J dot burn. And then capital B.
Shannon only has
URN.
4 last name. That's why. So it's the first 6 of your last name.
6. RN, boys. Burn H.
Burn up.
18 burn top. Burn capital B. URN 24.
So what happens if we have reps that have the same first letter and the same last name?
That shouldn't be the case. If for some reason that happens, I'll let you guys know. Good point. They should already actually have it set up, so I'll look into that. But if that does happen, it shouldn't be very often. We'll let you guys know.
That would be really, really rare.
Yeah.
No, but just make sure you understand this format so you can explain it to your reps. Don't tell them to text home. Okay? Here it is. You figure it out with them. If it doesn't work, have them clear their cookies. 99% of the time, they just need to clear their cache and cookies in their phone, try again. But please try to resolve it. I cannot be getting 200 freaking texts saying my rep can't log in when you guys can more than likely resolve it yourselves. But we wanted to make it super clean and easy, the same format across the board for Terminex and Insight. It's going to be super clean, so your reps can log in right away.
And like I said, we're going to be hopefully changing everyone that already sold with us. We're going to be making match this one, so everyone's
When?
when we get it done with us. We still do.
So, question, just because the computer might change it. My last name, VAN capital N, will that affect the password? Will it still be lowercase n, or will it change it to a capital N? Who is this guy?
They'll probably go to lowercase, I imagine.
Okay.
So,
But try both ways.
Just in case.
Yep.
yeah, I think just to keep it matching this format, we'll just keep it so that only the person.
Do you know how far they are in the conversion of this?
So that's the next, right. We're getting pretty close to being done with converting all the new reps, but if we don't have a social security number for a rep, we're not converting them. So until you guys get that to us, the reps can't log in. Reps aren't gonna get paid without a social, and we can't pay their rep without a social. So Audrey sent out an email to all of you guys, to all the regionals with lists of your guys' offices, and we've highlighted whether they're missing your date of birth, whether they're missing shirt sizes, hat sizes, socials, all of that stuff. So get that to us ASAP, and as soon as we have that, we'll finish converting. Along with that note, I'm going to be pulling you guys out throughout the meeting so that we can just get that done here and now as much as we can. Yeah, so that should be it. I'll be pulling you guys out to go over that. I also want to go over some coordinator stuff. I want to make sure that I have all these start date dates correct. I think that should be it. You guys have any questions? Cool.
Okay, awesome, thank you. I'll post this to the Facebook page as well so that you guys have it. Have you guys enjoyed the simplicity of being able to have your reps start watching the videos right away through the app? Has that been awesome? Okay, perfect. We're trying to make things easier and easier and easier. So let's just get started with the panel. Shannon, will you pull up the questions? Has everyone had a chance to, remember keeps over there, put a question for the panel? If you're asked to be on the panel, come on up, bring a chair. Come this way, gentlemen. Come this way. Don't look directly in the camera.
Never do that. That's super creepy. That's really creepy.
I wanted to so bad. There's more people on the panel.
No, it's right where it needs to be.
Here, someone else come over here, you guys.
So the people want to see.
Right up.
Actually, if you guys would sit on each other's laps, that would be very helpful.
Josh knows someone to say it.
You see what's going on right there?
Yeah, I can just move it.
Is this on a swivel?
Curve, and then you can get more.
It's
If
got
you
about a
squeeze
7
all the way back so
second
the other side can fit in, then the camera angle is a lot narrower.
Okay.
Nice thought process.
I think you guys all need to hold hands though. You know, get some nice team unity going.
Introduce yourself and tell us how many years you've been doing pest control.
Well, Josh Burnham, I've been doing it 8 years. Since it's been
Jason Green, same 8 years.
Kelton Cole. 15. Summer 15.
Whoa. Josh Campbell's 11 years. David Turner, 7.
All right. These are the other partners of Vantage. These guys all have equity in Insight branches. They become partners, claw their way up the ranks, and these are the guys that make it happen. So appreciate them. Got, about 100 years of experience up here. Lots of knowledge, lots of success stories, lots of mistakes. So if there's anything that you feel like you struggle with or just really want some advice, this is your chance to learn from absolutely probably 6 of the best in the entire industry at managing, at building teams, at recruiting, at leading. It's a pretty cool opportunity. So let's start. Here we go. How do you guys want to do it? Do you want to just go one at a time, or do you want to raise your hand if you feel like you got a good answer for that question? Raise your hand. Okay. Why is Josh Campos not a famous model?
Somebody else answered that.
I've got a picture to show you guys later. An underwear shoot. We'll show that later. No, that was a good question. Okay. We have a lot of Josh Campos questions on here. Why can't you see Josh Campos' eyes during the lunar eclipses? Someone's got the answer. Okay, here's a legit question. How can we better retain our reps? So I absolutely think this is a huge, huge area. Lots of competition out there. We've talked hard about this. Recruiting your reps off of just money, they're going to come and go like that. Okay, you've got to build value. Who can chime into this? Kelton.
One thing I've learned is that you got to treat them right from the beginning for the right reasons. Too many managers see dollar signs right out of the gate. So you need to do the things that money can't buy, that have nothing to do with money. Answer the phone calls, text them back. So if you see that something's going on, and offer an open ear, this goes a long way. And I think doing the little things go a long, long way for guys that need support.
I've lost reps and I've retained reps, and it's a lot easier to retain a guy who's trying to move to a different company when you have that rapport as they're trying to leave. And so I would just say, stay in contact with them, show them love from the start, be consistent. If you don't have that rapport, it's super hard to get these guys back on your side if they're leaving. And if you do have the rapport, then it's super easy. You call them up and you're like, man, we've been through so much together. What's going on?
Anyone else want to chime in on that? David.
Yeah, I think giving them a job is huge. Like, obviously, if you're an experienced rep, it's easy to follow up with them and just let them know you're counting on them for whatever it is. If they're a team lead and you're expecting them to be the person that's over the area about something, or if they're full-on manager, like, hey, I need you for X, Y, Z. That gives you a reason to follow up throughout the school year. Like, hey, I'm counting on you for this stuff in the summer. When people have all in when they have a job on the team, basically, they're a lot more likely to stay. And obviously, follow up. You gotta keep up with everybody. No one's ever safe. You never just think, oh, this guy's my cousin, this guy's my mission buddy. He's totally fine. I've talked to him in 2 months, but he's solid. Like, no one's ever going to be solid unless you're constantly following them and giving them a chance. But early on, let them know, hey, I'm kind of thinking about doing this internship or going to the company. You haven't talked to them in 2 months and they've had to think about that and already make up their mind. It's too late about it.
It's always the reps that you get content with that you feel like, oh, they're good, they're my buddy, they love me. I love hearing that. Well, they go wherever I go. I've seen a lot of people who feel like they're mine, they love me, they'll do whatever I say, they're so loyal to me. Well, if you get content and let off the gas, those are some of the first to go because they're being wined and dined by other recruiters that make them feel like $1 million, and you haven't talked to them in a couple of months. All of a sudden, this new recruiter's your new best friend. They're like, man, I love how he makes me feel. My guy, my manager, my regional, he doesn't make me feel this way, and they're in the honeymoon stage, but you've got to keep an eye on people, and I love that. Give them a task, get them involved. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
So this might go against the grain, it's kind of said, but I've always tried to be the ultra transparent with either when it comes to margin or when it comes to the structure of the company and how you can help the company. I've been open and blunt from the very beginning with regards to how every single rep can move their way up and get to the next level. And sometimes you have to, especially as a manager level, where you grow a level of your bias selfishness sometimes and let everyone, or certain guys especially, know either what you're getting or what there is on top. Because I think when you do that, you got to trust people and you put that trust out there with that. And yeah, sometimes you're going to get stabbed by it and it's going to hurt, it's going to suck, but I don't think you're not going to grow if you want people to put that trust out.
Okay. Got a text. Talk real loud. They said they're having a hard time hearing. So use your. Okay. Okay, this is a good one. What have been the best ways you have found to keep reps motivated the whole summer? What incentives have been most effective in keeping reps motivated, but yet cost effective? How to keep your reps motivated all summer. We get our guys so jacked up they can't even speak the first couple weeks of the summer, and then come through in July and it's like this. So, how has anyone had good success? Josh.
I think it comes down to helping the rep understand their why they went out in the first place. If they don't even know why they're out there, then it's going to be a lot harder for them halfway through the summer. When it is July and they start on that downward slope to keep going. So if you know that why as a manager as well, it enables you to be able to help them and sit down and remind them, remember, this is why you told me you came out. Because the general response when you ask guys why they're coming out is because of what money, right? That's what everyone says. But it's what that money's going to do for them, and you have to help them understand that. And when their why becomes greater than their why not, that's when the success happens, and that doesn't cost anything. I mean, in July, you can sit down with them, and I like to do that halfway through the summer just to kind of have that restart at the beginning of the month in July. You talk about it with them, like, are you on track to accomplish why you came out here? And then it kind of helps them to reignite that fire that maybe they lost.
Yeah, I think the hardest part about managing is staying consistent. And who you were day one is what the reps are going to also be. And so if you're not that same guy in August, then your reps will also not be the same sales guy in August. And so if I'm doing PPIs, personal pest control interviews, if I'm doing, if I'm doing group meetings, if I'm doing trainings at night, and then it starts to tinker off, and then August, I'm rolling up the correlation 5 minutes late. Our reps are gonna also kind of have the same attitude. So if you can keep it jacked the whole way through, your reps will mirror you. And then with the incentive stuff, I mean, there's a ton of free incentives that you can do that are super silly, that are super motivating. I used to be the guy that threw a ton of money at my guys. And last year was probably the least amount of money I spent on incentives, and we have the biggest production. And so just don't use incentives as a crutch. Put them in at the right time. But if your guys are jamming and they're going, then just let it keep happening.
On the incentive side, I think utilizing the corporate incentive we already have is huge. I think a lot of teams are going to basically go with the manager on it. The manager is super amped on it. He's talking about it every day. It makes a big deal about something like, hey, the new kicks incentive. I've been on teams where I go in and I meet with guys and they're like, I didn't even know that was going on. Like, I didn't even care about new kicks, or I hit it, but I didn't even know I was close to it, that type of thing. You're not getting any mileage out of it. But for you, like, you might not care about getting $100 pair of shoes, but if you push for it and you're like, hey, I'm going to bust my butt to get this extra, whatever, 15, 20 sales that I need to get for these free shoes, and you push your team to sell an extra 300, 400 accounts because of it, that's where you're going to get the benefit from it. So make a big deal out of the cruise, make a big deal about the competitions, especially that. I think is where you'll get by far the most mileage. Our team had our best month in July. We had a really good May and June as it was, and it was 100% because of Vantage Subscriber Cup. We took it serious, we cared about
create an atmosphere where you are a team and you are against other teams in the company and it's a competition, that's going to make so many more sales than money instead of what we do in July and August. May and June's on autopilot, they don't do much in the way of incentives, but in July, if you really push both the incentives and competition side of things, both on Vantage, Survivor, and the Team Cup, you're going to get a lot more mileage from you guys.
One thing that I've noticed is they're gonna mirror your every day's got to be a good day. If you're a manager, you're gonna do a lot more work, but you're gonna be making real right, and this is what you signed up for. I've cut a lot of managers over the years, myself included. We kind of start to feel sorry for ourselves. We have to do all this extra stuff. We have to sit down with guys, do the interviews, plan the incentives, show up early to correlations and for us, and it starts to, if your counting starts to drop a little bit, and start to kind of see that you're getting tired and that you're not as pumped as you like. Every day's got to be a good day. Don't ever feel sorry for yourself. You're the manager. Show up early. Best day of the year. Best day of the summer. It's the joke that I have in my offices. We're pumped, right? And things are ready to go, and they'll follow your lead. Every day's a good day. No excuses. And even though we go through personal stuff, you just have to leave it at the door. The leaders of this company are the best at that. I never know what's going on in any of it. Like, even my own brother, my best friend, Tom, known for 15 years, you just come here to work. It's a good day to get it done. So they're going to follow your lead. And the second thing, or there's two more things real quick. Jason talked about, I think, progress, right? And don't wait till a guy goes from king of the world to wanting to take, a long jump to short rope, so to speak, because you want to make sure that there's something happening in between that time frame. So when you start to see a guy's production drop and he's not as pumped as he used to be, then like take care of it before it becomes an issue. Sitting down, playing aside, go buying a drink. These things go a long way. And the third thing is follow through with and I've struggled with this in my early years. Incentives didn't seem that important, right? Well, it's because they're not your incentive. But when you're a first year guy and you got a $100 bill or a steak dinner waiting for you, and it just keeps, Mom had to get after me about this the first little while I started managing. You have to follow through because guys are going to lose your trust. And then if you tell them it's a good day, they're not going to believe you or trust you because you didn't follow through with an incentive. It's all in. So you need to follow through with those incentives. One of the most important things in progress along the way to make sure that they're on the up and up. I think once a month's a good amount of interviews to do with that.
I got two scenarios. One thing that I really like doing is brackets. I think every single sales guy is competitive in one way, shape, or form. And it's a super cheap way because sometimes you only have to be the top 3 people that win an incentive or one person an incentive, but everyone is super competitive in those things. No one wants to lose. And the second thing, especially later on, and you can pick and choose how much money you use, but it's negative incentives. We always do, we pick out 2 guys and we have them go up against each other, and the loser has to wax his leg, or has to do a belly flop in the pool, or has to do something stupid. And believe me, we've gotten more push from those than we have from giving out a GoPro or giving out an Apple Watch. And I don't know how much we can actually push that with a hook necessarily, but you guys can choose in the video if you want to do that. And that to me has been the best because it's a good negative incentive. Because at the end of the summer, especially July and August, no one is very motivated, but they're definitely motivated to not have to, I don't know, do a belly flop in the pool or something crazy like that.
One last thing that just came to mind, I think sometimes we take for granted, or at the beginning of the summer, we're really good at it, is car groups. We have something just so simple right there that we can really use to our advantage. So halfway through the summer, sometimes we get lazy and we're just, as managers, at least with me, I've been like, you know what, who cares, just you guys go with whoever you want. And then they get comfortable and they're with a group in the car that's not highly motivated, they're going to see a movie or whatever. So as a manager, even in July and August, car groups are just as important as they were at the beginning of the summer. And that's obviously free. So coming up with a strategic, creative way to switch it up so that guys can stay motivated, I think is important.
So what are some people saying in correlation when you can start to feel the energy in the office kind of start moving south, like it's like mid-July? Can you speak what you might be saying to that?
So you just got to keep it positive. Even if it's starting to move south, your tones and how you're delivering it, just like what Sean said, it's the best day ever. One thing that really helped me when I was like when I saw these things on my drive out the area, I listened to motivational stuff and just different podcasts, and then that sparks up what correlation will actually do next day. And so I do a lot of preparation on my way out the area, on my way back in the area, and having just things in place where you can just give a super motivational correlation that makes it so that the guys are jacked and pumped for the rest of the day. Because once they hit the correlation, all the stresses from yesterday go out the door, and it's a whole new day, and it's the best day ever. And just keeping that attitude going forward makes it a lot easier. And yeah, don't be afraid to get crazy and be weird and break boards and yell and scream and all that stuff will change the atmosphere that you have.
I think one thing to add to that is how you present it. Like if you just talk about the incentive and that's it, I think that sucks. I think having a simple PowerPoint or something written on the board, some handout you can give them, having it be a very organized presentation to the reps is huge. And then on top of that is organized follow-up. And so many times you don't follow up the next day or re-announce it the next day. And you just say, oh yeah guys, before you leave, remember about this. It's a terrible way of doing it. In order to keep the energy high and that incentive level up, you have to present it right and follow up with it right.
The other thing for me, because this happens every summer, there's going to be a time where guys become negative. So it's every summer I see this happen, but I will, before correlation starts, I'll pull the negative guys out, and I'll actually talk to them one-on-one. I'll say, hey man, look, a lot of guys look up to you in today's correlation for this whole week. Can you be on can you have my back and be like super amped about the littlest things and like just get really excited? And that way now they're like, they want to have your back. And so their attitude changes, because in each office there is that one guy that has the influence on the other guys, and it's just that simple. And so by pulling them aside and getting them on your side, essentially, goes a long way. And that doesn't cost a thing. You know? So having that talk with them, I think is super important.
Okay, anybody else? All right, here's another question that came in. How do you keep guys motivated when they deal with competition in the area? Nothing's more frustrating as a manager when you get a text, hey, there's guys in my hood, I need new area. We can't play that game. If we run every single time we see another company in our area, it's going to be a long, long, long summer. So who's had experience with this, with competition in your area, and how you dealt with it?
Well, I think all of us have. One thing is you're going to have, just tell them to play nice. There's no sense in trying to.
But do they pack up and leave?
No, you don't pack up and leave, right? But I like to tell them, hey, you know what? Try not to let them see you. Go to the other end. If you see where they're working, then go to the other end. Go as far away from them as you can, and work kind of towards them. Eventually, you're going to meet up. Eventually, it's going to happen if you're working in an area. But try to get to the people that they haven't gotten to, rather than going back behind them and making it. Because once you're on their radar, then that's when things start to get a little bit wild and crazy. So just lay low for as long as you can, and try to get the people obviously that they haven't talked to yet, and go back around and maybe follow them the next day. But usually, if you're cool with a rep from another company and you're willing to chat with them, there's always going to be the exception, right? The guys that just too cool at the school that don't want to talk anymore and work in an area together, and that's fine. But just try to go as far away from them as you can and kind of work towards them. And usually, they're going to be cool with that because it's a smarter thing to do for both parties. And then, honestly, if you guys being super jerk and your reps having a real tough time, then I don't know, you guys realize that maybe you can go out there, find someone close, and talk to the kid or call up their manager, try to get the other manager's information, and chat and run and be like, are you playing nice this summer, or is it, are they going to get some
So one thing I found super
Talk
helpful.
real loud, you guys, real loud.
One thing I found super helpful. Sorry. So I tell the rep that 80% of the guys that they're knocking against are first-year reps. And so Vantage obviously has the best training. We have the best managers, and we have the best sales reps. So prove it. Go head to head. Eventually, because he's dealing with the exact same thing you are. And so most likely the weaker man will leave. And so I don't want my guys to be the weaker man. And so obviously if it's like this dude ballistic, it's his last day there, every single person I talk to, already talked to him, then I'll say, hey, promise you'll have a really good attitude this day, and tomorrow I'll move you, no problem. And then he'll say, yeah, okay, cool, no problem. And he'll either do great or he'll fall on his face and no worries, it's one day and I move him the next day. But most likely if you guys are getting there all at the same time, just go head to head and you're a better sales guy than he is.
And following along with that, there's nothing that is more gratifying to a rep that'll go back and stay in an area when you tell him to, and he'll sell somebody that the guy already talked to. There's nothing more empowering. A rep, they think they're Superman after that. They almost look for areas where reps are. It's weird. So encourage them. Tell them they're better. You know, I always say we're going to play that. I know some court. So step through, yeah, whatever. So anyways, encourage them that way.
Okay, they said that's better. Your volume was good. So
Talk to the back there.
Pull this far away from it.
I don't know if you get my hand. I'm not really. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Okay, another question. This is a good one. I think most of us deal with this because when you start recruiting, you go after who first. When you're a new recruiter, who are the first people you start trying to recruit? Friends and family. So here's a great question. When you recruit a close friend, what's the best way to hold them accountable if they're taking advantage of you or the situation? Who's dealt with this? How do you hold your friends accountable? How do you have them respect you as a manager? How do you have them still keep the office rules? You guys are tight. These don't apply to me because I'm your buddy. How have you guys dealt with that in the past?
So, to be honest, I'm kind of a pansy with this. I have a really hard time with this, so I just give it to a co-manager, honestly. I have somebody else who isn't as close to that person be in charge of them, be the one to follow up, be the one to hold them accountable. I'll still be his buddy, I'll still be his friend, and I'll still hold him accountable from time to time, but for the most part, I'll assign somebody else to do it, because for me it gets a little too difficult, so that's the easiest thing that I've found to do.
Yeah, to kind of go along with what Josh had said before, like, I think letting them know, like, hey, I'm counting on you, like, people look up to you, like, I really, need you to help me out with this, versus saying, like, look, I'm your manager, you have to do this. Like, I've dealt with this a ton over the years. Like, I had 12 groomsmen at my wedding, and 11 of them were guys that I'd sold with over the years. So, like, my closest guy friends are guys I've sold with, and so to kind of overcome that, instead of coming on from the, like, hey, I'm your manager, you need to do what I say, it's more, dude, I need your help on this, because people are going to look up to you, you're a leader just as much as I am, and so I need you to help me out and be promoting what I'm saying and help promote that same idea.
Yeah, I like to keep it real when I'm recruiting, especially when I'm recruiting buddies. So when I first brought on like my close friends when I first started on this, I did struggle at this a lot, keeping them accountable. And so now I recruit buddies, I just tell them my experience that I've had in the past and kind of my struggles that I've had with it. And I keep it as transparent as possible, just saying, hey, I usually struggle with recruiting my best friends to do this job because it's hard for me to keep them accountable. But the best guys I have in my program, I keep them accountable. And so I want you to challenge me to hold you to the same level that I'm holding everyone else. And also, I want to make sure I'm holding you to the same level. And so if I'm not, and if you notice that, then let's talk and let's change some things.
Yeah, honestly, you're doing your friend a disservice if you treat them any different than your other reps. You have to hold them, just like Jason said, you've got to have that conversation with them and let them know you're going to hold them accountable just like you are everyone else. And that's just during the summer. You guys can be friends on the side, whatever, that's great. But when it comes time to work, that's
it's time to work. And so that mutual respect, but it all starts at the very beginning, how you set it up. If you lay out the expectations the right way at the very beginning, then that's what matters. So.
Okay, anyone else? Another question? Okay, do you think it's okay to use a little more force in July and August when holding reps accountable to the production requirement that you have to sell 6 this week? So, how have you guys held your reps accountable to the production requirement? This is hard. This is hard to do. I'd love to hear some success stories. I'm a huge believer that accountability is key to helping the reps have a successful summer, and we have to follow through with this. We are not looking to take anyone's back in. I want to be very, very clear about this. We're just wanting a good work environment. And more often than not, when a rep hasn't hit the requirement, what are they not doing? Working. They're not working, okay? It really is. If this old guy can go out and still get a couple sales every day, surely a 21 young, spry kid can go get a sale every single day. I think it's virtually impossible to knock 7 hours a day, 6 days a week, and not get 6 sales. Okay, I truly do. I just do. So 99% of the time, the reps aren't working the hours. So how do we hold them accountable to their production requirement without them feeling like we're just trying to save money? Okay.
So, guys. All right, cool. So, I mean, and you guys have probably noticed by now a lot of the responses we're all giving is about conversations that you have to have with your reps. And that's just our job as a leader and as a manager. And so the same thing goes with the production requirement. I have approached it the wrong way and come down, laid the hammer, told them if you don't do this, this is what's going to, and it always ends up not working out the way you want it. So it's about having that win-win conversation. To be honest, this is just my approach, and I'm sure everyone has their different style, but I will literally sit down with the kid and ask him questions. I'll ask him how he thinks it's going, how last week went, why he didn't at least hit the minimum. And then I'll also help him see what's going to happen if he stays on track, so that by the end of it, he's the one that's saying, you know what, man, I messed up. I need to do better. And you're kind of the good guy because you're kind of helping him just see that if he keeps going this direction, it's going to be bad for him. And then you can bring up at that point, I think it's an appropriate time to say, well, you know, there is the 6 account a week production. And again, it's not because we want to take everyone's back in checks. It's because we care about you. And if you aren't at least doing that, it's not worth being out here. And that's kind of when they start shaking their head up and down and they start agreeing with you. And they leave really having a good experience in that conversation rather than leaving with animosity and leaving you at the end of the day. So it really comes down to sitting down with them and letting them kind of talk more than you, but you gradually bring it out of them and have that. It's kind of like that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You have to approach it. It's all in your approach. So,
Are we allowed to make comments?
Yep.
I think one of the biggest things that we don't talk about enough is carb rates.
That's going to be in the breakouts.
Oh, cool.
So thank you, though. I agree. We're going to do a whole thing on that.
So,
give me one sec. I don't want to lose this train of thought. When holding your reps accountable to the production requirement, the worst thing you can do is not talk about it until they don't meet it. And then they feel blindsided. We had some issues last year where all of a sudden the manager wanted to start holding them accountable in August. And it had never been talked about. If these rules are established day one, if these rules are established day one and done in a right, professional way, there's going to be no surprises. Are we going to fire a kid if they don't do it 1 week? No. What do? They go on probation. They get a warning. And you know what? If a kid's giving his whole heart, and if he fell short, and you know that without a doubt, he did everything he could, are we going to fire him? Absolutely not. We know that. But we've got to establish this culture from day one of accountability. And if they don't hit it, they go on probation. We're going to have forms ready to go day one where you sit down with them, they sign it, and there's no surprises, okay? But you've got to talk about this day one. You can't get mad because all of a sudden they got lazy in July and then bring this up. What a blindside. Have the guts, be good leaders, and do it now.
Yeah, and honestly, you owe it to your reps to be that guy. One of the coolest experiences I had last summer, I was working with Alec Anderson, and he had about 4 guys that fell below production. We had a conversation what we have to do to make this happen, and he sat everyone down and had an individual conversation with every single one of them. That next week, not one of those 5 guys fell below production, and so it's your job as a manager to get the most out of these reps, and so you need to hold them accountable. And to echo what Tom says, it can't be August. It's got to be when you're signing them. Do they know what their requirements are? It's got to be in June. With the first time they miss it, you got to be able to sit them down. And that's why managing is super hard, is because it takes so much time to be on top of these things. You had 5 guys fall below requirements. It's your job to sit down with all 5 of those guys and explain what happens as if they don't continue to move forward. But a lot of times as managers, we just were like, oh man, I just want to send them a text telling them we didn't hit it, or whatever we want to do, or maybe just kind of, it was the first time I kind of turn my head to this, and that's not doing anything for your rep, and you're really failing them as a manager, because it's your responsibility to hold them accountable.
If you've told them that you're going to hold them accountable to the production requirement and they miss it and you don't, how do they view you as a leader? He's soft, he doesn't care, I can get away with whatever I want. You've just lost so much trust and respect if you said, hey, I'm holding you to the production requirement, and they miss it, you don't say anything about it. He doesn't even care, he doesn't even know how well I did. He's not even watching my progress. You have got to hold them accountable. Those that aren't meeting it, and you know they're being lazy, and you know they're being disruptive to your team culture, what do? See you later. Bye-bye. You're not doing what we've established our rules are. Go be somewhere else. Go work for a different company. We don't want you part of our team. You're not working the hours. What happens to your team's production as soon as you do that a couple times? Goes all the way up, okay? Kelton has a huge success story with that. We cut half his team in Minnesota a few years ago. Well, that was a long time ago. Maybe 7 years ago. We literally cut half the team, and the production doubled with half the reps. It didn't just go up, it doubled with half of the reps. We cut out all the cancer, all the bad eggs. Kelton was so worried, I'm going to lose apartments. I'm into these guys some money. He made up that money in 3 days. Okay? Have the guts to be the leader that these guys need you to be. They don't need to love you. They don't need to like you. But gosh, they'll sure respect you if you held them accountable and they hit their goals because you help them stay accountable.
This is all really good. One thing that I think that is the most important thing is to identify why. Why is their production not meeting the minimums? Because everyone has different reasons. Sometimes it's so obvious when a dude's just chilling poolside, taking in the rays with the sweetie babies, like obviously, right? But sometimes it's harder to identify. And if you can sit down and have that talk and just identify what it might be, it's usually just one simple thing. One simple thing. Maybe they're trying really hard, but their pitch, their opener is garbage. Like, you just have to identify it so you're not expending all of this energy sitting down and talking and having conversations and trying to just ask them what they think. You just shut up and listen. Because 9 times out of 10, a guy knows why he's not doing it. If you're listening the way that you should, he'll straight up tell you in conversation. He'll let his guard down and be like, honestly, dude, I probably could put on a little more time indoors. Hey, we're all human. What kind of time are you talking? How many hours you put me off work? Well, I've been doing it I've been trying for 3 days. Sometimes it's 4, but and so just identify with them what it might be, and then ask them about that, because that's usually a habit, is what I've learned. What you identify with the person for not hitting their minimums is usually the habit that keeps them from doing it all summer long. Because everyone has their different vices or their different habits. Sleeping in, taking breaks, whatever it might be. So help them break that habit.
I'll just have 2 quick things. So in order to stay on top of these guys, I think having bi-weekly interviews already planned that you're already going through will help you out with that. So you're not just interviewing them when they're doing bad, you're also interviewing them when they're doing good. And then one good tip to add on what Kelton was saying is to identify the why. I always just have them pull out their knocking sheet right then and there, I can always find out what why it is. It's one of two things. Either they're not knocking enough doors and talking to enough people to go through the ratio with them, or they are knocking a ton of doors and you know their pitch sucks. And so you either have to work with their pitch, or you have to make sure they're knocking more doors, because not one rep will tell you, sorry to say this, but not one rep will tell you the truth as to how many hours they're knocking. They'll exaggerate by 2 hours at least every single day, always. And so I never believe that. I always go off the numbers, and normally they're talking to 20 people a day, and their ratio is 1 out of 30, and I'm just like, well, dude, no wonder why you're not making any sales, just not talking to enough people. And so that's my easiest way that I can identify if the rep is having a hard time selling, or they're not working hours.
Okay, like it. Al, do you have a question? Question from the audience.
Yeah, so Burnham, what do you do to kind of make correlations not get like mundane, like June, July? We need to go over the sales cycle enough, or different aspects of the sales cycle, but we still need to have those correlations. What have you done in the past?
I like to you want to give them a reason to come to correlation, and getting later on in the summer, like deep into July and into August, it's you're not really going over the sales cycle. They don't want to go over that. I think it's just getting the blood going to get these guys excited to get after it, to have a good attitude. So I think it's kind of like I do more of a shift to have a better attitude. And it's doing random things, like a couple times a week we would go to a golf range, like right down the street, and it's just getting camaraderie going, getting the blood going before we go out. But just doing like random different things towards the end of the summer, that's outrageous. Like he was saying, yelling. I'm like, I can't yell anymore, man. I can't yell around and like dance and get my Clayton Bird on, which is amazing. I just don't have that kind of energy. I can tell good stories. I can tell really good stories. Yes. So just doing something different, something a little outrageous, but just to get the blood going.
Campos.
Kind of piggyback off of what Josh said. So he's totally right. Like halfway through the summer, they've heard us so much. It's just going to be another correlation. Something fun I do, well, just to switch it up, is I'll assign the reps a chapter out of the training manual or certain pages and have them actually do the correlation. It also is cool because it helps them to want to kind of be more in that leadership role, and they have more ambition with the company and everything. So I tell them to keep it short, and then let's play a game and have fun and get the blood boiling, like Josh said. And so assigning them, giving them a task and having them do a correlation is a really good way to switch that up, just so that it's not the same thing every
Yeah, because the end of the summer, they're so tired of hearing you. So if you can incorporate other guys that are on point and they know what they're doing, to give just like a short, brief correlation, that's good.
Well, and they have to go and read, and that's just going to help them be better all together, you know. So kind of the teacher learns the most out of the lesson kind of deal. So, yeah.
Okay, anybody else? I have one thing I want to chime in on that. I visit a lot of the teams throughout the summer, and so I see the energy. Again, these kids are so jacked up the first couple of weeks. They're chest bumping. They can't even, like, they're just so excited. And I love the kid that can get himself from 0 to 100 jacked up from a YouTube video and an energy drink. But I come into these offices in July, and it is the most eerie, dreary, just uncomfortable energy in the room sometimes. And like Josh said, you've got to be outrageous. Your job is to keep it fun, keep it fresh. You know they're going to walk through that door in a lull in July. They're beat up. Your job is to put a smiley face on and keep it lively, keep it fun, keep the energy going. Music, games, activities, fun things that have nothing to do with sales, because this is all energy, right? Positive energy. They don't necessarily need to go through the sales cycle in July, okay? Do some quick role plays, refreshers, stay on point. But your job is to keep the energy going. You're motivationists, okay? Be motivating. Pump them up. Get their energy levels through the roof. And you've got to do that day in and day out. It's hard. It is not easy when you're beat up yourself. It is so hard to put on a smiley face when you're dead inside yourself, and you've got to fake it for them, okay? They're going to mirror your energy. They really are. Great question. Wes, did you have a question? Oh, I started remember being on this list. Oh, sorry.
No, I just kind of like we talk about the minimum of 6 weeks. So what happens if they sold 6 or 4?
It's sold.
Oh, okay.
It's not off service, it's based off sold. Based off, based off Friday scheduling for Monday or Saturday scheduling for Monday, something like that. It's just sold. And again, we're not looking to freaking tic-tac, like, we need them working the hours, we need to be holding them accountable, but they need to know someone's watching, someone's holding them accountable. But,
it's like my best friend. I say something about 30 of my best friends. So I've been down that road. I didn't manage to do it, but I've been down that road having issues with my friends and passing grads. We're not in high school anymore. Like, it's a real job. What you do is going to look bad on me. So I need you to go out there and get it. So right from the beginning, set the standards high. Not, I'm pretty sure I watched a video. You explain you're not holding the ground and the person who can jump 6 feet in the air just needs to hold it. Set the scene.
like it. Okay. Should Tom tuck in his shirt? No, Tom should not. Tom's not a tucker. Is there a bird's nest in Josh Burnham's beard?
Show us, Joshua.
Shake it, Josh.
There's not a bird nest in there, but there's insulation in it right now. So
It's so smooth.
there is some insulation
so smooth.
in it. And I'm not joking. Yeah, there's fiberglass in here, so I don't want to shake it right now.
Okay, here's a good one. When is the best time to knock with your reps? Morning or night? Morning?
Morning.
Keep it simple. Don't kill your prime time. If you're a knocker, if you're a manager that's knocking every day, save prime time for you unless it's an absolute emergency and you're in crisis mode. You have no excuse not to be able to get through your reps after correlation during the day, but save prime time for you, okay?
Just a question right off the bat is how do you, as a manager, just like kind of decide? Because for myself as a second year rep, with a couple guys coming out, I do want to be a great knocker and kind of set the pace for the team. But at the same time, I want to be there for them, helping them deal with whatever is going to come up with the first year rep. So how do you kind of balance that?
Every single first year rep should be knocking the manager. Every single first year. And at the beginning of the summer, the beginning of like my pest control career, I try to get out with these young guys, like right first day they get there, you know what I mean? Let's go. But I've kind of switched it around a little bit. I actually want these first years to go out for probably 3 or 4 days to kind of get their teeth kicked in. So actually when we go out and knock with each other, they kind of know what they can work on. Because if we go out the very first day that these guys get out, they have no idea what's going on either way. So for me to say, oh, bro, you need to stand this way or do this, or maybe if you say this, it'll help you out. It's too much to take in. So I've adopted this idea to where they go out for a minimum of 3 or 4 days and get slapped around, and I go out and then give them like a good couple of hours and then go on to the next one. And then maybe like later on in the summer, like a month and a half down the road, if you need to get back with them again, knock with them again. But I have an open door policy too, where any of these guys, they'll call me all day long, I'm fine with that. If they want to come before correlation and link up to kind of master their pitch or whatever, or in the evening, they can do that too. So just good communication, I think that goes a long ways.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with what you're actually doing before the summer even starts is huge. So our standards in my region is that our managers are the top sellers in the team. And so how do you put on a huge volume of accounts and also be one of the top sales guys? That has to do a lot with what you're doing before the summer even starts. Role plays, go knock doors, go to Utah, get these guys' face kicked in while trying to knock doors. It's so important. You don't want to bring a guy out to the area that you worry about dropping him off. You're like, man, that guy's gonna, he doesn't know anything. You want to be able to just let him go, and when he starts to fail, then you can start picking him up. And with technology these days, like, you don't need to be there on the doors with them. It's actually a hindrance. I feel like when especially if I'm knocking with one of my bigger reps and there's two huge dudes knocking a door, like, the customer's so turned off by two people standing there. So
there's a way to knock too. Like, I'm not front and center with you, and I aren't going to be like, hey, we're the pest control guys, not missionaries.
Well, then I'm
like way back. Yeah, I'm like way back.
That brings up a great
but I'm out on
point,
the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I want to hit on that point. With technology, we can hear their pitch. We don't need to waste our whole day. It's so ridiculous. Dude, I'll be there in an hour. Okay, Superman, you're going to get there and knock 3 doors with them. Have them record their pitch. Or say, listen, put your phone in your pocket, I'm going to listen to your pitch. You can critique them. You do not need to waste your whole day and drive across the city. Okay, Levi?
My first year experience is just fresh on my mind. It's what happened. But one of the best things that helped me out, like thinking back when it changed from being that guy just googly-eyed, wondering if I was going to get somebody to sign up, was when I actually called Kelton. And, I don't know if that's, like, for me, that really helped because he was able to be funny. I got to see some opportunities for Kelton just being funny with my customer and whatever, and I got to kind of feel for how he was approaching it. And he was hundreds of miles away.
It's awesome.
So that was cool.
I love it. So this is a big lesson that I had to learn over the years because of my goal, I was so competitive. I always wanted at least to do 500, 600, whatever in the summer. And no matter how much you try, that level of accounts is going to take time away from your team. So you have to learn how to balance it. You have to. Doing things like I like to do bagel club in the month of May. So if they bagel, they have to come over that night and role play with me. That's one thing. And then as far as knocking, kind of like Jason and Josh were saying, so when they first get out there, they don't know a whole lot. So normally I'll have them either come and watch me. And by the way, if you ever are going to have the reps watch you, I recommend that you have your own personal area. You don't go knock in their area and get the sale for yourself. That's just going to piss them off big time. And so if they want to watch you and they want to see you get sales, have your own area to go do that in. If you're in their area, if the sale goes to them, no matter what. Because I promise, as much as they want to say, I don't want it, they do want it, and they'll be mad later on. So, so personally, how I like to do it is I'll have them watch me maybe the first day, and then I'll let them go out and just get over the learning curve, and then in a couple days I'll go with them and watch them for an hour or two. But that way, they kind of know what to say. Experienced reps, it's normally they're always just wanting to come watch you, not the other way around. They don't want any help, they just want to go. But sometimes they do get in a rut, and they're like, I want to come see you knock just to see what you're saying. Take them to your area, so you don't get them upset. But I can promise you guys one thing, and this is just a lesson I've learned over the years, and probably the last 3 summers is where I've seen the biggest return. Foregoing your own sales at the right time so that you can spend time with your reps goes the longest way. I mean, it will change your guys' production on your team. It'll change their loyalty. They'll be loyal to you, not the dollar, not the commission rate. They will literally want to go wherever you go because they saw that you took time out of the time that you could be making your own sales and you gave them the attention they needed to be successful. So don't hesitate. I had to learn that the hard way, and man, I wish I would have done that years and years ago when I first started. But it's never too late. But I promise this summer, if you spend more time with them and focusing on their production, it'll change your entire experience of managing.
Awesome. So I just want to give you guys a kind of a little bit different dynamic. But the question was, what's the best time to knock, mornings, afternoons, whatnot? I think part of that answer should be like the preseason. Jason kind of hinted on this a little bit, but we get these reps out on doors, and I think we can all agree there is a little learning curve, right? Whether depends on the guy, maybe it's a few days, maybe it's a week or two or whatnot. If you can get that learning curve out of the way early March and send that guy out on the doors come April or May, he's going to be that much further ahead and ready to go. So I love what all these guys are saying as far as getting these guys ready to go, knock with them in your own areas, all of that. But I also think these preseason trips that some of you guys have been on, you've seen the benefits of that, right? And I would highly recommend that you guys all take the opportunity to do that. Go out of your way and make sure that that works, and get these guys ready to go before the summer even starts.
Okay. Shannon.
Just real quick along with that, make sure you go to it first so that we can make sure that these accounts actually get serviced.
We'll post some very specific protocol for preseason knocking. We need to make sure it's super organized, streamlined. You can't just go start knocking doors. You got to make sure we got routes built. We got someone do the data entry. Want to make sure that the branch can accommodate it. But we're going to be rocking and rolling pretty soon with the preseason. We got time for a few more questions. Let's go to the audience. Does anyone have a well thought out question? Anybody?
How do you decide when it's time to send a guy home?
How do you decide when it's time to send a guy home? So if a guy hasn't met his requirements, that's one, but there are guys that are meeting their requirements. Has anyone ever sent someone home who was selling just fine, but their attitude was so bad, it was so toxic, that you had to send them home?
Yeah, definitely. I had a guy who's bald. He probably had the lowest chargebacks in the office, sold close to 75 in a month and a half, but his attitude was toxic. He was an experienced guy. I babied him and I understood him, but it just got to a point where he kept coming 4 weeks in a row, like, let's try and pick this up, just make it a correlation, those type of things, and don't speak negatively, and it got to a point where he wasn't willing to do that, and so we just, one phone call, had to send him home, and it sucks, it's hard, it's not who I am, like, personally, but it needs to be done, and the production will go up when you do that. And just the hardest thing and what I had to learn was, don't just be shy about it. And be, like, hold all these grudges in, like, man, this guy never shows up to correlation. Man, this guy stinks. And then you don't vocalize that to him, and you're just like calling him one day, like, hey man, it's been 5 weeks, you haven't been to correlation, you gotta go.
There should have been a lot of warnings along the way. There should have been some probation. There should have been some talks. You can never just blindside a rep. If it gets to that point, you didn't do your job, where you just can't handle it anymore, and I want to send it home. I get calls all the time from regionals, managers. I want to send so-and-so home. Okay. Have you told them your concerns yet? Well, no. Have you written them up yet? No. But it's just gotten to be too much. They need to go. Nope, I'm not going to let you send them home because you haven't done your job. You haven't given them a chance to change and curb their behavior. You cannot be a knee-jerk reaction like that unless it's something really crazy bad. But accountability along the way, doing those bi-weekly meetings, your one-on-ones, these are going to alleviate all of those issues. I love that.
Yeah. So this is kind of on the same lines, but it's a little bit before the fact. So like recruiting, you come across guys that almost kind of want to go out and sell with you because you've got a team of guys going out. It's kind of cool. You kind of look at them, like, how do you basically? So the question is, how do you determine,
who's going to make the cut?
I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about cutting the fat and screening guys after this. So I'll put a pin in that. Adam.
I'm curious to know what you guys do. Certain areas have more cop issues. What do you do if there's a guy that just keeps getting the cops called? And, a lot of times the cop's like, hey, if there's anyone else out there, I want all of you guys out of here, or I'm going to start doing stuff. What do you guys do? Because there's a lot of times in the car, guys are rocking it, but there's a dude or two that just keeps pulling the car roof off the doors.
Let me preface this question. It's always the same few guys. You notice that?
Exactly, yeah.
They're doing something different. What are they doing? How do you curb it? Josh.
So I had one last year, and he's the nicest kid. I could not figure it out until I actually went and knocked with him. He would go up, ring the doorbell, and stand there and just 2 feet away from the door and looking around, looking through the window, and I'm like, what are you doing, bro? You can't. It was pretty crystal clear at that point. So I think first step, you have to go knock with them and find out what's going on. What the heck are they? Because they're doing something to initiate that. Yeah. Either they don't have their shirt tucked in, they're not standing far enough away, they're not like, or they're. I had this one guy a couple of years ago. He would walk so slow up to a door and take his time, and it just looked so bad. Yeah, it looked so bad. So most of the time, it's something they're
looking for spider webs. What's the number one thing you think they're doing though to get the cops called? I know what it is. Cell phone. They're on their freaking phone. They're pacing around like this, the neighborhood. They're walking around. They're texting. They're kind of like this. They'll sit. They'll just stand. They're just chilling. Like have a purpose that you're supposed to be there, that you belong. Carry yourself with a good presence. Look professional. Move fast. Be busy. But if you're dinking around on your phone, you're going to get the cops called on you.
Tell him this guy don't believe you. What's your question? Because he's like, no, not the cell phone. It totally is. Because you just look shady. You're not like, you don't have a purpose.
I would say going to the neighborhood.
Oh, that's just lying. That's shady. That's shady.
The association's got us in here.
Yeah, that's just lying.
That's what I would say.
Jason. So, on the other hand, without cops, but kind of the same thing, we have gate issues, like guys couldn't get into the area. And the one thing I found, especially in Jersey and like some on the East Coast, Boston, with cops, is you can't baby him where he gets kicked out and you just pull your whole car group off and pick him up. Let him hang out.
Well, that's the problem. A lot of times they'll text all their guys they're with and say, hey, you guys come get me, the cops are here.
So
everyone's just
this area's hot.
Yeah, so I found a lot of success in those areas, just not letting them, talking to the drivers and just prefacing it like, don't go pick them up. Because what happens, he texts him, and then your guy texts you asking what you should be doing, and you say, keep knocking, man, you're killing it, pick him up at lunch and we'll find a new area for him. Because I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think a lot of times it's, dang, I don't really like this area, or dang, man, this area is hard to get into. Maybe I'm going to do some things to get the cops called on me. Or maybe I saw a cop drive through my area, and it's a lot less than what you actually think it is. And so if he has to sit there on a bench waiting for his driver, he's going to say, maybe I should just go knock, and he'll go back in the area. That's what I found, at least.
So just not even just say, roll it out.
So up until lunch, and at lunch move them, at prime time up until the end of the day. Yeah.
One thing I've noticed is
the cops are there, like sometimes cops are going to wait for you to show up. I got a cop called once.
Every situation is different. So the first rule is tell everyone if the cops stop them, they call you first. Period. They don't text anyone, they don't call anyone. Because if somebody else is in their group, in the car group, it's not fair to throw them off. So that's the rule that I have that works. The second rule is when you go knock them, Josh hit it right on the head, you got to observe them, right? It's not a surprise that whenever the guys are like, dude, the cops are they're here. It's like you go watch these guys knock and they look like they're holding up a bank. Like their mannerisms, they're nervous, they're twitchy, they're not talking loud, their head's down, their hands are in their pockets, or their hoodie if they have that on. It's just really awkward and it's obvious. Cops never get called on guys that make eye contact, that stand back far enough, that smile, they're busy. They start talking when the door opens, say, how's it going? They're just on a mission. They're just busy. Okay? People never call the cops on
and leave on a good note. You don't sit there and get a fight and use your little snide remarks.
Yeah.
Just smile, I apologize, get out of there, and leave with good energy.
Yeah. If a guy shoos you off his lawn and he's Mr. Man and he's got, then it's like, yes, sir, I lay it on thick just to have some fun. Sir, yes, sir, no problem. I got it. I'll make a note right here, and my manager will, I'm writing it down. I'm walking off, and they're like, oh, heck yeah, like I just told that. and they're the last thing on their mind is I'm gonna call the cops. The best thing on their mind is like I just freaking own that kid, right? So you surrender, swallow your pride, walk off. But these guys have nervous twitches, and the way that they act is a trigger for people like, oh, this guy's shaky. Because if you're nervous and you're awkward, they're nervous and they're awkward. Does that make sense? And so and that comes down to basic sales training.
Levi, so what are some things? Because I've had some experience. I'm a salesman. What do you say to the cops? I think there's got to be some things.
take this one. Jeremy Roosevelt sold a cop last year. Did you guys see that post? This was on an incentive holiday. This is how awesome Jeremy Roosevelt is. Jeremy ends up selling the cop after being in the back of their car, a contract. It was a female cop. And then this is at 9 o'clock at night. Jeremy went and knocked more doors. How many of us, after we got talked to by a cop, need a little time out and we would go, oh, I'm so flustered. Jeremy just like, you gotta get out of here.
And he was in a cop car. Like, that's a different story. Like, locked up.
Levi, I think you smile and you don't get defensive. What I've done whenever I've had a cop, I was like, I'm sorry, I've got the worst job in the world. My manager told me to come bang some doors in this area. I didn't mean any disrespect. I'm about to pack up and leave. Did you know that this is a no soliciting neighborhood? Oh my gosh, I wasn't aware. Don't sit there, well, state law, and just don't get into it. Just kiss their butts. These cops do not want to be bothered with you, I promise you. They're out there out of obligation. Kill them with kindness, smile, make them take pity on you. I'm sorry, I've got the worst job in the world. My manager told me to come in here and talk to a few people. We've got a couple customers in here. I thought I'd talk to a few neighbors since we're going to be out here tomorrow. I did not mean any disrespect. I will gladly leave. I apologize, sir. Get out of here.
Sir,
and then leave, right? I've had the cop literally say, oh, okay, looks like you're good. Like, he checked him out.
The last thing I would just add to it is, I promise you, in every single one of your cities, there is one city that's very easy to get a permit for. Get a permit for every single rep for that city, so he has something on him, make him look legit in that sense. But on top of that, I would say if you have a rep, Adam, that continues to get the cops calling him, get a permit for one city, that you're stuck here the entire summer unless you do that. And he's there the entire time. So that way, it's like you're going about it in the right way. You're helping him. You're helping the team.
All right, give it up to your panel. Thank you, guys. Hey, I'm getting out. About to break for lunch here. I thought that was awesome. We'll do more of that. You guys just heard from 6 of the best in the entire industry. If I were to go to war, I'd want these 6 guys on my team all day long. I would pick these 6 guys over any of competitors' management groups. So I thought that was awesome. Let's roll with a few things. Please listen up. This is what you're going to be going over in your breakout. During lunch, we want this time to be very, very effective. We're going to take a whole hour. Make this time count. Take it serious, okay? Here's a time for you to really dive into these items and see where you're at. We used to go over these items at Super Saturday, and it was too late. You've got 6 weeks to get these things in order, okay? Here they are. During your breakout, I'm going to have you go through the following items. We'll post this to the manager page so you can remember the questions, or you can take a picture of it. Who's handling incentive money this summer? Which manager is going to be responsible for handling incentive money? What's your tracking process of where the money went? Okay? No, we cannot set up 2 separate bank accounts on direct deposit. You need to have a separate bank account that you just, once you get paid, you know exactly how much incentive money was given to you, and then you transfer it to your bank account. This is itemized on your stubs. You do not need to text me and say how much of this was incentive money. It's itemized. Instantly transfer that money to a second account, and that account is only used for incentives, okay? Make sure that you treat this money sacredly. You will lose the trust of your team so fast if your people think you're stealing incentive money, okay? You should have proof of exactly what you've received and where that money's gone, okay? Be transparent with that money. It is not yours. You're stealing your rep's money, you're stealing company money if you're not being a good steward over it, okay? Who's your car group leaders? Do you even know? Do you even know how many cars you have available this summer? Nothing drives me more crazy than I get a call and say, we need to rent a van, we don't have enough cars out here. What? You're finding that out now? Shame on you. Okay? How many cars do you have? Who's your car group driver? And what incentive are you going to give the car group driver? Why would he want to be the one to go drop off reps? What are you going to do for him? Different things that I've seen done is he doesn't pay gas. The driver doesn't pay gas. It gets split up by other people in the car. What's some things you guys have done to bonus car group drivers?
Take care of the rotation, give them some oil, give them a nice wash once a month.
Okay, but if you say you're going to do that,
follow through.
you have got to, yes.
The easiest way to do it is to get them a prepaid. You can buy them a car wash. Here's 4 washes.
Love that. Love that. Great idea. Campos.
1% increase.
A 1% increase on the personal sales. Okay? Talk to your regional manager, get approval, but find something to bonus the car group driver. These guys are putting in a lot of time searching for reps, picking them up. It gets really demoralizing for them. David.
If you got on your team, you need more cars, and like a lot of people are hesitant to bring their cars, just remind them that there's going to be huge tax benefits if they bring a car.
Massive write-offs. Massive.
55 cents per mile, so if they're putting on 20,000 miles on it, they're right off over 10 grand of their earnings, which is going to be basically won't have to pay that. It's going to be huge. So that's usually the way I'll get most people to get out there with their cars is the tax benefits. So.
Okay, you guys need to have this dialed in. Do you have something to say?
I totally agree with that.
Yep, cool. What's your gas policy? How do the drivers get reimbursed for gas? What's your system that you have in place? What have you guys used in the past that's been really, really effective?
You just go, you have a quote every Monday. I'll take guys to the gas station before correlation. Tell them I love them, you get a wash, they can drink full their tank. I keep the receipt, and then I have to...
For every car group?
Yeah. For each car group.
Where does that money come from?
What do you mean? No, me personally, I just pay for it, and then if I feel like I need to reimburse whatever that I need to.
That's...
I want to be in your office.
That's why Kelton's guys
I'm going to
love
Columbus.
But, I mean, maybe it helps guys sell, quite a few.
I'm sure they love you for it. Campos.
So I've tried a few different ways. This is the best way I've ever found to do it. So I normally put 3 people in a car group. The driver of the car fills up on Monday because if he drove around on the weekend, it's not fair. Tuesday, the second person fills up because it's perfect to the cent. Fill up the car based on what he used the previous day. Third person fills up Wednesday, and then it just resets. Thursday is driver, Friday is the next person, Saturday is the third person. And then everyone in the car group pays, I can't remember, last year we did like $20 a month to the driver for wear and tear, oil changes, all that stuff. So.
Okay. If areas plan what it should do, though, then we're not talking like a ton, right?
No, it was like 10 to 12 bucks.
So, yeah. And by the way, I only do that
Yes, I think that's a great incentive, though. But I don't care what your policy is. Just have it very simple and identified, and don't have your driver have to chase down people for money, okay? That's not their job. They agreed to drive. That's your job to make sure that that driver is getting paid what they should be. All right? Let's see. This one's important. Identify a rep you're going to fire on Monday. That might sound harsh, but every one of you have a weak link. Someone you probably shouldn't have hired. Raise your hand if you can think of that person already. Be honest. Bull crap, raise your hands if you have someone that you should probably have not hired. Okay? We all do. If you don't, good on you. I'm not a fire-happy guy. I believe in not dragging poor kids out that don't stand a chance. Okay? It's not good for them. It's not good for you. It's a waste of money. It's not good for the team. Have the guts to do it now. We know it's not going to end well. Why are we going to drag this kid across the country when we know it's not going to work out well? I hope he'll sell a few deals. You guys, don't do that to a poor kid. Okay? Save his summer. Save your summer. Save your team's summer. Identify someone that you shouldn't have hired. Okay? Cut him. Do not bring him out. Or her. Which reps will be putting utilities in their name? We need to know now who the rep is in the apartment that's going to put utilities in their name. So help me if I get utility bills again. It is a logistical nightmare to allocate those out and make it our problem. We've got to go through statements and figure out which apartments didn't pay and which rep it is and take it off their back end. Don't put us in that situation, please. Be organized. Find a rep and put utilities in their name. Are you going to have to bonus this person?
Yes, you got to.
Probably. Okay, figure it out. I don't care what the policy is. Different personalities require different things. There's guys that, no problem, we'll do it. Okay, but figure that out now. it's a massive headache for us to try to sift through this, okay? Please, please, please get that done. How is area management going to work? Who's the manager that's going to assign area? What's your protocol when you get a call in the middle of the day? When do reps come and request area from you? How are you going to manage that? What's your protocol? What's your office rules with that? You cannot figure this out on day one of the summer or it's going to be a disaster. Kelvin.
Guys, I've been pretty bad at this. Last year for the first year, I actually had it all ready. Totally ready beforehand. Never had to stop and figure out area humongous. I did not have to think about it. I had shapes and get all these everything organized, and I'd send them out, and it was honestly the best thing that's ever happened.
It's going to save you a world of headache. It's going to be better for the team. You're going to increase production. It's going to make your life easier. Okay. Have you planned out your first couple weeks of correlation? You should know exactly what you're going to train on. You should have an epic correlation plan for the first couple weeks, okay? YouTube videos, quotes, motivational, you should have it dialed in. You know exactly, you've practiced it, you've rehearsed it, you're organized. Do not go in day one not knowing what the hell you're going to talk about. Have this organized and dialed in, okay? What's your training strategy? When are you going to knock with your reps? I am dumbfounded when I go visit offices in July and I'm knocking with guys and no one's knocked with them yet. I'm the first guy to knock with you? Me? Are you kidding? Shame on you. How selfish. How freaking selfish you couldn't give someone on your team an hour of your time. Shame on you. Don't make that happen. You should have knocked with every single rep in your office within the first month. No questions about it. Does everyone agree? Yeah. Say aye. Aye. Okay. Don't let that happen. Shame on you. You're selfish. Okay? Nothing is more selfish than your poor rep wasn't good enough for you to give them an hour of your time. Shame on you if you let that happen. I will not let that happen. Adam.
What do you do with the guy that just, he's one of those guys that gets 3, 4?
Say, I want you to teach me. What are you doing? I'm going to follow you around, bro. Show off for me. Give them that time, you guys. It's so important. You make a personal connection. You get to know them on a deeper level. That just, it bonds you. If you've knocked with somebody, you guys have created a bond, and they won't forget that, I promise. Get through everybody the first month, but what's your strategy? How are you going to do it, okay? Guys see another hand? Okay, no problem. Who's your sales coordinator? Do you have a sales coordinator hired? Are you going to let them know about the coordinator training coming up at the end of the month, okay? Does she know what her pay is going to be? Do you know what date she gets there? Make sure this is dialed in. You need a good sales coordinator. Raise your hand if a good sales coordinator can make or break a summer. Truly, truly can. Pamper this lady. She is the queen of the office. Whatever she says, yes ma'am. Or a he, that's fine too. But more than likely, it's usually a spouse. She is in charge. Empower her. She works so hard to make things go smooth, okay? Let's see. What's your preseason knocking plan? When are you going to knock? Where are you going to knock? You should have these dates scheduled. You should go through Shannon. We're going to put some really organized protocol together for knocking preseason. When are you going to take your team out? Have you even thought about it? We've got guys who raise your hand if you've already knocked yours preseason. Bunch of you. Awesome. Sweet. Okay. What's your plan for getting supplies out to the city? We really prefer not to mail things. It's always a disaster. They go to apartment complexes. Raise your hand if the apartment complex told you, we don't have that here. And then they really did. All the time. Don't have us ship out shirts, hats. Please find a process to get them to your area. We will have them here at the office ready to go. We do not want to ship these items because they get lost. It is a nightmare. It's so expensive to reship things. It's just, we're at the mercy of the post office, and I cannot control that, okay? I can't control if something got overlooked. Mistakes happen. If you want to have a flawless day one of the summer, find a way to get your gear out to the area. We're not shipping things, okay? When does your team start and end dates? Do you even know who's going to be the first rep to the city? Do not let rookies get there first. Don't do it. Tell them to wait. Well, they really want to get going, Tom, for the first few weeks. Has anyone had a rookie go out on their own and just crush it the first few weeks? It's been a disaster. We almost lost the rep. We're out the housing. It's just a complete disaster. I'd way rather the program be organized and ready to roll day one than let reps knock a week or two too soon. Tell them, you know what, wait until I get out there. I know you're eager. Your time is going to be better spent knocking here locally, watching the videos, role-playing. Pump the brakes, you guys. Just because a guy tells you he wants to start knocking, like, Tom, I got to get him going. He wants to get knocking. It never works. It never, ever, ever works where rookies want to go knock early. Never seen it work, ever. Okay? How many apartments do you need and who's living with who? This needs to be very organized. Where are you at? Who's going to live with who? Do you need 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms? Do you even know which complex you're living in yet? Okay? These are all items that we're going to go through in your breakout. Please review and start getting answers for every one of these and execute. We're doing this earlier than ever before. We're trying to be proactive. Jason, is this a recipe for a successful summer? No question. No question. Top office in the nation last year, Jason, I don't know of another team that did 6,000 accounts in the city. I don't see any areas they were weak in this group, okay? That's attributed to Jason and his management team. They dialed these in, and things were super organized. Good question. Okay, I'm good. Let's eat. Let's go with our breakout, and we'll reconvene in an hour. Thank you, guys.
You have a name yet? For the girl? Yeah. Yeah. What is it? You're not telling anyone?